And we are recording live. Carmen,
Yeah.
it is good to see you again. Um,
Yes.
for those watching, welcome back for another episode of Sound Off. We're having a great conversation today on the comeback and photography. We'll break down what those two things mean here with Carmen in a few. But for those that are new, I'm DP, disabled Army veteran, hence the shirt and the hat. I had to think about it because I was going to say shirt. Usually it's a shirt, so a sear like fork spoon. um,
Yeah.
I have Carmen J. Williams with me. Carmen, introduce yourself for those that may be watching.
Hi, you guys. I am Carmen. I am also a disabled veteran. I served about 7+ years in the military, and I'm also a photographer, a contract instructor, um, an event planner, and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Like, so let's see, how many things can we do? You're kind of a dynamo doing a lot of crazy, fun things, but let's get right to the meat and potatoes, the comeback piece. Before there was a comeback, you served, you basically did all the things that were regular, and then life kind of took a few turns. And I think that's really where the power of your journey came into play. For those that have seen some other episodes, Carmen and I met in a clubhouse. That seems to be the recurring theme. So I wanted to be able to highlight that we met on an app, that basically a lot of veterans are in there in the veteran network space, but we're going outside of the app, making connections. When I was in Colorado, I was able to actually meet up with Carmen. We had a conversation. I was like, we have to record and share your journey. So it's a very powerful story. So walk us through life right before things kind of took a turn, because everything was going great. You were soldiering on. It was just high speed, low drag, doing everything great. And then it was like, wait a second.
Yeah, it was a screeching halt to my military career. I went to LC, or Advanced Leadership, for all the other branches. Um, and when I came back, I actually had collapsed and couldn't feel my legs. And
So
my
you
husband and
you went to uh, our leadership course in the Army. Well, wait for that's one part there. Now they call it LC, right? Is that what you said?
yeah, ALC.
ALC, Advanced Leadership
What
Course.
used to be let me see, what is it? BNOC, ANOC, and then
Uh, yeah, would it be what's the senior one that you have now? Because PLDC now is WLC, right?
correct. So
And
then
then
what I went was equivalent to you would be BNOC.
okay, just to make sure, this is literally
Yeah,
now where I feel like
yeah.
an old fart. I'm like, well, back in my day, we
I
called it
know.
PLDC and BNOC and ANOC.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
so I'm sorry. It was just
No, you're
I know someone's in there going, what? What branch of service was that about?
Here we go. All the letters again.
So you're coming back from leadership course, and I want to just highlight that because you're advancing, right? You're doing the things you're supposed to do. You're going to this course. Promotion comes after. Again, we're tracking.
Correct.
Things are going good. So the reason I wanted to just highlight that you're coming back from this leadership course that potentially then puts you, checks the boxes for promotion and all of that. So that's a powerful key
That's right.
point to talk about the fact that everything is going the way it should.
Yeah, everything's going great. I even did my in-depth re-enlistment at that point, because I was like, I'm a lifer. I'm going to do this. And yeah, I had collapsed and I couldn't feel my legs. I was on the ground for about 15 minutes until I got sensation again. Immediately went to the ER, and initially they treated it for vertigo, because they thought, because I was in Texas at the time, so I had to drive to Marietta, Georgia, and I drove instead of flying. So they thought, because of all the traveling that I was doing back to Texas, that it was a vertigo thing. So they gave me, vertigo medication and stuff. And about 2 weeks later, this is right after Christmas, I believe, I collapsed again. The world was kind of spinning, and again, didn't have any sensation in my lower legs, my back or anything. So we go back to the hospital, and they kind of played it off, and kind of just kept me on the path as treating it as vertigo. And then it wasn't until like I started getting other sensations, like the loss of speech, the loss of um, the left side of my body just kind of going haywire, a bunch of tingling and stuff. And so I, had medically like things took a turn. They thought that I had contracted Lyme disease while I was out in Georgia. So I was doing all kinds of stuff. Eventually, I went and saw a neurologist to kind of dive deeper into what was going on because it was affecting my nerves so much. And he initially said that I was smiling too much because of
Uh-oh.
how it would trigger for me. And I was like, this sounds ridiculous. And we did all the MRIs, CT scans, all kinds of stuff, and they couldn't figure out what was happening. So I kind of Charlie Miked and kept going on with what could I do, and things started to change. Like I gained weight in like a month. I gained over 30 pounds drastically. Like things just changed like out of the blue. I keep doing what I'm doing. I'm still, a leader, taking care of my soldiers, getting ready to go to the field because we're supposed to be leaving for a deployment. It wasn't until I go to the field where I fall off of my MATV, um, and I basically couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. And I'm just sitting there on the ground while my soldiers are looking at me like, "What's going on?" Turns out the medication that they gave me, I was allergic to. So it started to close up my airway out in the middle of the field in San Antonio at Camp Bullis. And I was rushed to BAMC where the medical team there determined that I had what's called hemiplegic migraines. So there's like 1% of the world that has these complex migraines. And I didn't know what it was. So I would go through multiple sensations. So I would lose the eyesight, I would lose sense of smell, I wouldn't be able to talk. I'd basically go like completely paralyzed on the left side, and I would just suck it up and kind of drive on afterwards. But the pain after was just unbearable, and I'm out for days at a time. So it wasn't until I went to BAMC where I stayed there for about four days, I think, when they all came back with the diagnosis. And that's where life changed for me. I had to get medically retired. And what was beneficial was that the PEB board is down there. And so they already knew. They already knew there wasn't anything I could do. I did try to fight it. I even asked, like, can I just change jobs?
Like, hey man, put me over in the desk somewhere. Let me go do
yeah,
something else. And they were like, "You're going that way."
Yeah, and so it sucked. It hurt because I loved my job. I was a 35 mic, a human intel specialist, and I just loved what I had to do. I loved taking care of my soldiers. I loved everything about the military. And so, yeah, it really blew what was happening. So, um, fast forward to my actual ETS date or retirement date, I, just trying to go through the motions and kind of figure out what I'm going to do. Because, I mean, I went from, finishing ALC, getting ready to deploy to now what? Now what do I do? You know? I ended up buying a house in Fort Hood, in the Fort Hood area. And not even a month into being in the house, about 2 weeks later, I suffered a stroke in the house. I thought it was a migraine, and I was preparing to brace myself. So I was eating a bowl of cereal when I felt the sensation and stuff happen. And I'm walking to the couch when I just completely collapsed yet again. And I'm sitting there, well, laying there anyway, and I'm trying to get a word out. My sister's there. She caught me. And I'm trying to tell her, hey, this hurts. This is not normal. This isn't what my typical migraines start off as. And I couldn't get a word out. I couldn't. I was just crying. My face kind of drooped a little bit. And I just couldn't get a word out. I'm down for about 20 minutes until it passes. And then I get up I try to get up anyway, and that's when my left leg, my arm was stuck to my body like this, and I couldn't do anything with it. And I kind of like was like, well, this is weird, but maybe it's just my migraine. Let me just kind of deal with it. So about 2 hours went by. I still couldn't feel my leg. I couldn't. My arm was still stuck to my side. It wasn't until I urinated on myself and didn't even know that had happened. Like my kids, my husband's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I'm like, "What are you guys talking about?" And that's when that was my cue. Like, okay, something else is happening. We go to Darnell, and they already know me there because whenever my migraines medication isn't kicking in, I got to go get the cocktail, as they call it. And they put me in the dark room and they monitor me and stuff. So they already knew me. But this time I'm limping because my husband's trying to. He's like, "Let me get a wheelchair." I'm like, "No, like just come on, man, let's go."
Right.
So I'm holding on to him and just hopping my way into the ER, and they already knew. Hey, okay, let's take her back. And that's when they noticed that my leg was in what's called a dorsiflex, so a ballerina pose, which isn't normal. You should have some type of movement going on. And so they're doing their checks. And as they're doing their neuro checks, they're going up my leg up to right above my knee, where I started to feel the little needle they were using. And then they all got concerned. They were like, "Oh, this is different." Then I go get a CT scanned and an MRI, and that's when they revealed that I had a stroke. When they told me this, I felt like I was in a movie. Kind of everything went black. I hear them talking, but it was like, Charlie Brown style, because I'm 32 at the time, and I'm like, what? A stroke? Like, what? Like, I was just eating a bowl of cereal. What the heck happened? And it just, I don't know, it was just an unexplainable experience to just sit there and be like, I was just like exercising. Like, I was doing all of this stuff, I'm in my A game. Like, what the heck? Yeah, and that's kind of where, I was like, okay, what now? What is going to happen now? They obviously admit me. And I spent 5 days at Darnell Medical Center, but the neuro team they had there couldn't really handle my case because of the complex migraines that I had, plus having a stroke. So they transferred me to another hospital where I spent another 5 or 6 days there. Started to do occupational therapy, physical therapy. Here's the wild card. Here's the crazy part. After the day of this stroke, I found out that I'm pregnant.
Like, literally just add.
And so, it's just kind of mine, even to this day, it's kind of like, oh my God, like I'm trying to like absorb everything. The fact that I just had a stroke, I cannot walk. I tried. I fell out the bed. I low crawled to the bathroom and, had to tap out and pull the little string to get help, But it's still like, I still had that soldier mentality like, no, I'm not going to have anyone take care of me. Like, this isn't going to happen. To the point where now they're strapping me into the bed because I'm being hard-headed and I'm just trying to be independent. And I eventually have to suck it up, and then I can't. I'm no longer independent. I can't go to the bathroom by myself. Can't take a shower. Couldn't do much. Couldn't sit up straight because it affected my back. So I'm kind of like slouched over all the time. And, so it was, what do I do now? So, the day after, find out I have a baby, game changer. Everything changed.
That's a wild card.
That is a wild card. Everything changed. And now I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? I then left the hospital and went to a rehabilitation center in Round Rock, Texas, and spent 17 days in there doing intensive physical therapy. I was supposed to be there for 30 days, but Carmen wasn't going to stay for 30 days.
Of course. I kind of got the hint of that when you're low crawling from the bed and they got to restrain you because someone's not paying attention, and you think that I'm just going to go sit here and just do one of these bits to get to the head. To the back. No. So
So initially, the plan was in those 30 days that every day I would have 3 hours of physical therapy, and then about an hour of occupational therapy and speech therapy and stuff like that. And I didn't play by those rules. I whenever no one was in the gym, I would, with walker and all, I would start, scooting myself to the gym and getting on the bike and just working out. I would get on the one that they use for your arms, and I would do that one. I would use the 2-pound weight, and it kicked my butt every single day. But I would say in all, I put over 5-6 hours a day in physical therapy. I had to set a goal because I wanted to go home. I wanted to be home with my kids. Now I have this little creature growing in my belly. And
go back to that real quick. You had to set a goal. What does that mean to Carmen?
I wanted to make sure that I wasn't in a wheelchair and that I wasn't so disabled that I couldn't hold my baby, that I couldn't play with my baby, that I couldn't run with my baby, that I couldn't throw him in the air, that I couldn't do this, and it's a boy, by the way, that I couldn't do these things for him and then be an additional burden in the house. It does something to you when they start talking about retrofitting your home that you just bought.
You're like,
so that you can reach things and stuff. And not only was I'm like, heck no, I just bought my house, but I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. It's a matter of believing in myself and knowing my full potential. Like, yes, I had a stroke. Yes, my leg was affected drastically. Yes, my back was messed up. My left arm was messed up. But what now?
And this is all after service with all the things happened there. So this whole thing, you kept the mindset of these things might be happening, but I still know what my potential is. And despite the pain, despite the setbacks, despite all the things that are happening currently, your mind is fixated on a goal that I want to be able to pick up my son, play with my son. And if that means I'm going to spend 5 hours, 6 hours, low crawl, push through a thing, almost like one of those comedy movies. You get out the bed, you fall down, they put you back. You get out the bed, you fall down. Like, it's literally like, for crying out loud, Miss Williams, please stay in the bed. And you're like, I don't think you understand. I will go through the pain today to get what I want tomorrow. And I think there's a powerful message there. Again, and this story is it's not over yet. But it's literally being able to pull out key pieces, because when you say that to me, it just strikes me. The power in the fact that I have a goal in mind that I have to make sure I work towards. When everything else is saying, Carmen, give up, stop. Right. And we'll get to that point after you walk us through everything that's happening. But I think it's just a good point to bring out that in the middle of all this, you're still grasping for the things that you want. And I think that's just a message to call out just to the resiliency of what your mind was saying. I can do these things. I understand the body's not cooperating, but guess what? Follow me, like literally follow me, rest of the body.
Yeah, like, track what I'm doing. That a lot of my time was in the gym. I had to, while you're in rehab, there's like milestones that you have to meet. So like being able to stand, being able to shower by yourself, brush your hair, do the common things that you honestly take for granted every day. And so you have to meet all these milestones. Another thing that I had set was my baby's room is going to be upstairs. So I needed to be able to go up the stairs knowing I'm carrying my child. So part of physical therapy, there was a stairwell that I would go to. And my therapist, they'd have the waist strap and they all holding me. And it's a team effort because at the time it's 150 pounds. And so that's a lot of, one, for me, dead weight on one whole side, flinging around, trying to get up a stair, upstairs and then downstairs, which I would say was probably the most challenging because of how I had to have my brain rethink and rewire itself to make the muscles do what I want it to do.
Mm.
Because it wasn't it wasn't a and like what it's natural to us. It's now I have to I mean, it would take me 30 minutes just to get up a set of 6 steps, and that's
Yes.
nothing. I can run up that, you know what I mean, in like 5 seconds. But for me, it took about 30 minutes because of the mental focus that I had to be in to make my muscles do what I wanted to do. Like that was a lot of work. So not only am I dealing with the pain of the nerves firing and muscles moving and all of that, I am mentally getting exhausted.
Mm.
So I was scared to fall asleep because I didn't know it was going to happen. I was scared that I was going to get another stroke. I was scared that I was going to wake up. The fear of that just, would eat at me, and then I just had to snap out of it. Like, your body needs to rest. The only way it's going to recover well is if you rest. What I kind of did with that was I would leave the TV on just so that if I moved at any point and I could hear it, I knew I was good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of how I worked through that. Another piece that I did while in rehab was I would do puzzles standing up. And they were always like, Mr. T, at the time, Mr. T, you need to sit down, Mr. T. And I'm like, I don't want to sit down. I don't need to sit down. I would prefer to stand up. To this day, people will offer me chairs. I'm okay. I'll stand. Because I just didn't like the feeling of being down and not being able to do anything and sitting in a bed for 20 something days. Like, it does something to you. So I would do puzzles. I started out with like 750 pieces, moved up to 1,000, then moved up to 5,000. At one point I had one of the main tables in the rehab center completely covered in puzzle pieces. And I'm with my walker just going around, just so that I could rebuild my back strength and core so that I can stand up and can carry my baby and go up the stairs and walk and maybe one day even run. Because these are things that they're, and the doctors are always, they're positive, but they're also realistic.
Yeah.
Like, you probably won't run again. You probably won't do this. You probably won't do that. And I've always asked, well, can I run? Will I be able to swim? Can I go hiking? Can I do this? Can I do that? And it's kind of like, it's hard to tell right now. So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that never stopped me.
Yeah.
I walked out of rehab. I walked out of rehab 17 days later when I was able to hit every mile marker. So occupational therapy blew that out of the water. Check. You want me to make pancakes? Got you. Good. Let's go do this.
Would you like some Aunt Jemima? We're good to go here.
Yeah, Aunt Jemima. Yeah, I needed to, get myself ready. I did it to the best of my ability. It wasn't perfect, trust me. It wasn't like this before. It was just like,
it's just like
kind of,
we're good.
Did I do it? Right? Did I do it? Awesome. I had to accept my new changes, my new life, and adapt to them. So yeah, 17 days into it, I finally got the go-ahead by all the physical therapists, the doctors, everybody that was there that, okay, you can go home. So I left with a walker, I left with a cane, and I made it to the car, and I got myself in it. It was hard. I'm heavy. I'm a heavy girl, 150 pounds. I'm sorry for y'all that that was a lot for me to pull into my sister's SUV because it was, it's a car, right? I get home and I'm so happy. I'm excited. I'm still going to school, by the way. I'm still going to school while all this is happening. My professors at my college were so gracious and sent me work online and I was trying to get it done, which I guess I'll backtrack real quick on that because occupational therapy and speech therapy took a little bit longer because I didn't learn the same anymore after my stroke. I used to be the type of person that I could read something and boom, get it. And that's it, After my stroke, I was wired differently. I needed to be visually stimulated. Like we would read something and it just wasn't like it wasn't clicking anymore. And I'm like, what? And what is going on? This is so frustrating. Like, and it was like, okay, where the stroke happened in my brain affected my parts of my learning style. So I don't want to call it a learning disability. It's just a new learning style, new techniques for me to learn. So I'm more of a visual learner now and more tactile. I need things in order to grasp information, understand, maybe a drawing or something to that effect. But it didn't slow me down from going to school.
Okay.
I still went to class. My professors worked with me. You know, they understand. I did have to go get like I guess you could say like extra time on exams. You know, all the learning stuff that they give you, because that's a new adventure, new challenge until
exactly.
I'm accepted. And I just did what I could. You know, another part of my goals, because not only was it for my baby who was born healthy, beautiful, you know, planned C-section from the jump. As soon as we knew we were pregnant, it was like, yeah, you're not gonna, you know, because of high risk complications and stuff. So it was a planned C-section. So, but I still did what I could. I had a walker, which then I graduated to my cane. And what would balance me out was I would carry my backpack and that weight would kind of pull me upright. And that's what I would wear. And I'd look ridiculous at home wearing a backpack, but...
but it's hard to build those muscles to give you balance again and that coordination.
And so that's what I did for another 5 months, 6 months after the stroke, until I started getting Braxton Hicks contractions that started making the physical therapist a little bit nervous to do the countering. Or after leaving rehab, I still had to go to physical therapy. So it was kind of like, I started to get contractions. And because of the situation, the stroke and all of that, everyone decided that I should just take a pause on physical therapy until I had my son, Dean. And even then, like, that didn't slow me down. Like, I was 9 months pregnant, running or assisting essentially with a shelter after Hurricane Harvey. So I'm 9 months pregnant, running around this shelter, coordinating, talking to people, helping them, all kinds of stuff. I felt like I couldn't let life stop me. I have a new perspective as to why I'm here, a new purpose, why I'm here, why I had a second chance. And I couldn't let myself, I mean, sometimes, don't get me wrong, there was days where I was like, wow, woe's me. You know, I used to be this badass, you could, you know, like running, exercise, blah, 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 in the army, ho, 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 all the time, go, go, go. And now, things slowed down.
But I think it was powerful there, too, just to kind of give a little context, especially for the 150-pound comment. How tall are you?
I'm 5 even.
So, and it's good to just notice, because someone's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, when you're 5 even, that's, you know, a lot of weight to carry on your frame. But it's a key here, because 5 even, at what was your weight when you were, you know, before all this stuff happened on average? Where would you hover
123.
Around? Okay, so 123 is kind of where you're around. You're soldiering on. You're doing all these different things. You know, you're pushing yourself. You're excelling, and then separation from service for medical reasons, and then a stroke happens, and then wild card, you're pregnant in between this. On top of that, some school is happening. You're doing all these different things. And really, when we first talked a little bit about your story, you know, just kind of making a quick pause here, it's not that you're superwoman. The common theme that I've been calling out here is the mindset. It's that you had those mindset goals that I need to be able to do this. I need to be able to walk up these stairs. You know, some would say dress for the job you want, not the job you have. Act like, all these little, phrases and motivational quotes, but you are practical with your mindset and motivation. And I think there's something powerful on that, because sometimes we can get really like, Carmen, I need motivation. I'm going to Google something and, Nike, just do it or whatever. Or if you can think you can achieve it. I need to take my son up the stairs. So I will then go to these stairs that I cannot climb, grab some weights, and begin the process of going up the stairs. And the practicality of that, the tactical aspect, because, in military terms, we want to get all strategic and I want to accomplish all these things. Get tactical. Can you walk up some stairs? Work on that. Can you do push-ups?
Yeah.
No? Work on that. And it's just the simple aspect that as motivating and as powerful as your story is, and I'm not taking away from the power of it, it's also to just make it clear to some that might say, well, Carmen, you're just a superwoman. You're just strong and you went through all this. But I'm calling it out now because, to your point, you had moments of woe is me. You had moments where like, well, crap, how much more shit can happen to me? How many more things can go wrong in my life? But the difference is you didn't stay there. And for you to have to relearn motor skills, relearn your psychological pathways of just learning and being able to just, navigate the world. On top of that, I have a child. Like, there's all these new things that you have to balance. And yet you kept it simple, literally like KISS. Keep it simple, Sergeant. Keep it simple, soldier. Keep it simple, fill in the blank, right? And you just kept it simple, but you were intentional. There was motivation. Yes, there were highs and lows, but really the power that I see kind of throughout your story as you're going through this is you were very practical. You didn't have this crazy motivation thing that's so out there that's like, you know what, I'll never achieve all of that. Right? Like, I just want to walk right now. Hey, can I run? No? Okay, well, let's try walking first. And being that practicality for those that are listening and seeing to this is you're looking at someone who, has disabilities, has impairments, had to learn how to do things, relearn how to absorb the world, navigate the world, and all these things. But the common theme that really stands out here is the practicality of just, I'm accomplishing this right here, and then I'm moving on to the next one. And that's really a key point for someone out there who may be experiencing something, saying, Carmen, you don't understand. I can't walk anymore. And it's almost like, well, let's just try to stand up right now. You know what I mean? Like, literally, in your case, like, I'm just going to get off this bed, and I'm going to log crawl to this damn bathroom one way or the other. Granted, I'm not saying if you're in a hospital bed, you should do this thing. but the mindset... do what I'm saying, not exactly what I'm doing when I was low crawling, but there's a power in that intentional aspect that you just saw something right there in that bed, unable to move, having limitations. It's the bathroom. That is the goal. That is what I want to get to. And guess what? You're going to have to tie me down to this damn bed because I'm going to get to that bathroom. And that tenacity, it's the common theme. And that's something that people can tap into if we start to look at things that way. So again, I just wanted to call that out because, to your point, woe is me. You had a whole bunch of woe is me. You could have shut it down after the military. You were a lifer. You were excelling. Things were good. So then you go off through, disability land. And then the military, after that, you have now the stroke. So, there's a lot of woe is me's in there. And it's not to highlight that. It's to say that you've experienced that, but you didn't live and dwell in that and found a way to keep moving forward.
Yeah. I just, life is full of opportunities. Life has many avenues. Life has so many different pathways that you can take and go down. And I could not sit and just be like, okay, I'm in a wheelchair. I'm just, I'm young. I'm 32. Like, heck no. Like, I still have a whole life to live, And now I have a baby that I have to, give life to and nurture and, like, help grow up to be a young man. And, there's so much more. Now, I'm not just saying go get pregnant or go have a baby and that gives you purpose. But you have to find your purpose. You have to find what that means to you. Is it, drawing? Is it color? I don't know. You have to find that purpose that will only get you closer to what you want to do. The other part of that is you need to be able to believe in yourself. You have to. F-bomb, what every other body says.
Mm-hmm.
You have to believe in yourself. That's once you know your purpose and you believe in yourself, man, everything coasts. I'm getting excited because everything coasts from there. You're going to have highs and lows. That's life.
But Carmen, you know what? You don't understand. I can't do what I physically used to do anymore, Carmen. I'm limited. I have these disabilities, and I'm just a shell of what I used to be.
No, you're not. You're more than that. You have the mental fortitude and the resiliency to get past it. You really do. So what? Every other military veteran out there has experienced something. Every other military veteran, no matter what time, year, age, doesn't matter, has experienced something. And life goes on. Now it's your choice to sit there or just fucking do something. Mm-hmm. Get up, cut someone's grass, make your bed. It doesn't matter. Make a list, set a goal, and freaking do it. Don't be a procrastinator, because all you're doing is hindering yourself. You're limiting yourself. That's what you're doing. You're not setting an example. And I say this in the sincerest heart. If you're a family person, you have kids, you have a wife, you have a husband, what example are you setting? So that when they go to a pitfall and you sit in a rut for 2-3 years and then they hit the same pitfall, then they're going to do exactly what you're going to do. It's a systemic thing. What you see is what you get. So change what you see so you can get what you get.
Say that one more time.
What you get is what you see. So change what you see so you can get what you get.
So, and again, I love that because you chose not to focus and see the limitations of the day. And you chose to see what could be. And there's a power in intention. There's a power in mindset. But just to be able to kind of answer the questions, rapid fire. Did you have moments of depression where you were like, why even try?
Yes.
And
absolutely.
When you got into that pit, right, that dark place of like, my career is gone, service is gone, you know what, everything that I was trying to achieve and do, it's out the window now. What at that point does Carmen say to Carmen to move from that spot that many sadly are stuck in? Like, you don't understand, Carmen. I was excelling, I was going up in service, and it was done. And sadly for some, this is something that's you've been in this holding pattern of depression since 95. Some 85, some 75. Yeah. And time doesn't matter. In your mind, it's like it just is never going to get better. You don't understand. My best days are behind me. For you experienced depression. What are some of the things that began to at least inch you out of that space?
I took time to reflect on who I would have been had the military not come into my life. Where would I be if I wasn't a service member? And it boiled down to, well, I probably would have went to college. Okay, let me go to college. I'm a people person, so what kind of career field would go into? So I kind of dove into criminal justice, maybe go to law school or something. So I started down that path. Found a passion for Homeland Security, so I kind of followed that route, and it was just rediscovering who Carmen the civilian is. Because I know who Carmen Soldier was. I know damn well who she was. A lot of people knew who I was, but now who's Carmen the civilian?
And that's powerful because you've reinvented yourself. And I think it's you had no choice. You can't go back. They told you you're out of here. Retirement, medical retirement, disability, time was up, service is done. Many veterans deal with adjustment disorder. How do I reintegrate into the world? And to your point, what I'm absorbing, what I'm taking out of this is you have to kind of reset and say, okay, chapter's done. Now, what are the things I would have done? And basically and looked at the world and reinvented yourself.
So I think another key point that I took when I was transitioning out and then dealing with my stroke and kind of finding who I was going to be was there's 1% of the population, right? Statistics, I don't know. It could be more by now. But there's a very small number of veterans in the United States. Very, very small. Then you have the rest of the world that really, really don't understand you being in the military. So this is where you need to now say, in order for you to get a decent job, in order for you to fit in or even be able to socialize in a regular population. Because it's one thing, you can meet a service member and it's like you guys have been long lost friends. That's how I felt when I met you guys. Like I met it, and even all the different branches of service. It's just this tight knit community that we have. We've been through the shit. We're out of the shit. We're still in the shit. Okay.
Exactly.
But when you get out, like these civilian people don't understand, and they will never understand unless they served. You cannot make someone understand your service. They don't care about your ribbons. They don't care about all the cabs and all this stuff. They don't care. It just looks pretty. Literally at face value, it's wow. It looks like you did a lot of stuff.
Right.
At face value, that's what it is. That's what it is. To us, oh yeah, he did amazing things. He had a long-lasting career. But to anyone else, unless they know, it doesn't matter to them. So you have to now be a civilian. And I know it's a hard transition. Trust me, I know. Okay, I know it's a hard transition. And that's kind of where I picked up a new hobby. It was a hobby while I was in high school, my photography. And that's where I said, what else can I do? I'm a people person. How can I interact where I'm just a regular person? Because I'm no one special than the person next to me, the person in front of me. I'm no one special. So what can I give to people that I come in contact with? I would love to be a person of positivity. And that's all I am. I'm a ball of positive, motivating energy all the dang time.
Motivate me, motivator.
So what is it that I could do in my community, within my family, my friends, my comrades, my now coworkers? Like, what can I do for them to make sure that they're happy, that I check up on them, that whatever. So I picked up a camera. I started my business in photography in 2012. I was still active duty, but it wasn't like a full thing, full-fledged, kind of how I have it now. And to kind of go back to my goals, because I knew I was separating out of the Army, I was like, well, I'll go to school, but I'll also do my photography. And because I had my stroke, before knowing I was having a baby, my initial thought was like, I can't carry my camera. I can't go hiking now with my camera backpack because I can't even sit up. I can't even walk. So what the hell? Now I need to get better so that I can carry my gear and go anywhere with my camera and be able to hold my camera without it shaking and have blurry photos, to be able to take amazing photos and do what I wanted to do with my photography career. So I had to set things in motion. So I just have, I would say, a list of things that I needed to do. I had to do my family obligations and duties and my responsibilities, and my way to do that was to get better. Then I had to be a mother. So I have all these things that I have to do as a mom. So I got to be able to walk, carry, change diapers, bend over and not get stuck, I have to do all of these things. And now, Carmen, me being selfish, because you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to be selfish. I think I serve it because we're always, especially leaders, because we're in this mindset that we have to take care of Joe. We have to take care of Joe, blah, 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 that we forget to take care of ourselves. So I do, and I know I'm selfish, and I'm okay with that. And I do it in a way that my husband understands, my kids understand that this is mommy time. But you have to identify when you're going to do that for yourself. If you're depressed, right? When's the last thing you did something for yourself? And it's not, I just woke up, made myself breakfast. No.
Right.
What did you do to relax? What did you do last for yourself to really enjoy your life? Did you go on a vacation? Did you go fishing? Did you go bike riding? Did you ride your motorcycle? You know, what is it that you did? And it doesn't have to be spending $8,000 going to the Bahamas and having this grand vacation. What can you do now? Is it just a brisk walk around the block? Which I did all the time. Just knowing that I could walk without my cane. Then I took it further, even further to, you know, now I can go 3, 4, 5 miles and be okay, carrying my gear. Be standing for 8 hours doing a wedding, carrying my gear, holding my camera, not one, but now 2, and still kicking butt. You know, like. And
a key point there is, so from that transition of all of that, as you kind of have segued into the photography piece, the irony is you didn't choose the path of least resistance. Anyone who knows anything about photography, you need to have a little coordination. You need to have some, balance and these different things. And because of what you went through, all of those things were not in your favor. So you had to, kind of gain the ability to have balance, coordination, all these different things. Because you could have easily said, okay, what's something that I can do that doesn't exacerbate or have me push myself? And I'm saying this because there are some individuals who truly just can't do certain things anymore because of their limitation, disabilities, or what have you. But it doesn't mean find just the simplest thing I can do. Like, you can challenge yourself to do something. Photography, being a photographer, doing what you've done is not something that was natural to you after all these things. If we had gone back to before everything, all this stuff happened, no problem. You could have, been able to pick that up. But add in all the things you've been through, you had to pretty much learn that whole process all over again with your locomotive limitations, having to kind of work around things, mobility wise, balance, coordination, etc. But yet you chose to go into photography because it was one of those bucket items of, this is what I want to do. I have these limitations, but damn it, I'm going to go ahead and push and try to get as close as I can to perfect. Like, back to the whole hair thing. You know what I mean? Like, look, it's not where I want it to be yet, but we're getting closer. I'm in there. You know what I mean? I'm in the shot zone. How was that for you, having to choose now something that was a hobby, but knowing that it wasn't like a fun, easy hobby? It was something you had to work for as well.
That's a good question. There was a lot of moments of defeat. There was a lot of moments of like, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. Like, getting frustrated and, just being exhausted by holding the camera, or my back, locking up because of the backpack. So I used a tripod for a little bit just so that I could still take pictures. That thing is very cumbersome and I don't do it no more, but I was at least able to say, I don't want to do studio photography. I hate a tripod. I don't like it.
So again, and tripod being a simpler way of set it, do a thing, and I don't have to, I'm in the studio, things are good, there, shot, got it, click, moving on. You said, nah, about this studio tripod thing. What did you feel you needed to do?
I needed to be out. I wanted to be out in wilderness. I wanted to be out with people and like capture movements and like get genuine laughters. I don't know. The studio setting was just not for me. I felt closed into a box. I didn't feel like my creativity really flowed through me or anything like that. It wasn't until I would go outside and I'm like, oh my God, this is great. Let's do this. It wasn't until I did that I was like, okay, this is where I need to be. And it wasn't, I was mainly doing families. I kind of dabbled in all different genres of photography from when I was in high school in 2000 up until now, where I do mainly weddings, maternity, and family photos. So it wasn't like, I just tried and I kept trying and I kept practicing. And, like with anything else, you just have to keep going. You have to keep trying. You're not, think about it. When you were, you're not going to become an expert the first time.
Yeah.
You're just not. So you got to give yourself grace when you're learning something new. So, and I say this because, you know, a lot of people, you know, see the greatness and see all people doing this stuff. You know, a millionaire didn't become a millionaire overnight unless he played the lottery. And even then,
Exactly.
he's going to be, you know what I'm saying? So you have these people that they're all around us, but they got there because they busted their butt and they didn't give up and they kept going. They tried, got up, tried again. And that's all you can do. Don't try and give up, because then you go back to not believing in yourself when you give up. If you believe in yourself, that will never happen. So
you took your hobby, this thing you wanted to work on, and you got out the studio and you figure you'll take a few pictures. I want to jump over because it's amazing just to look at this. So this is now where we're at. Wait a second.
This is where we're at.
Wait a second. Fast forward. Hold the presses. And again, I want to highlight this because the images are just amazing. So let's just give you your flowers into what these are. Obviously, this is not a studio setting. And again, it's looking at these pictures now. I'm not seeing the pictures. I see them. I think they're amazing. I think they're beautiful. But what I'm seeing, to your point, is the photographer is outside. You are at what angle to get this? Where are you?
Oh, yeah. I'm down low. I'm in the water in one of those pictures.
Oh, sweet Lord.
Yeah. We went hiking to that place. Yeah, I was in the water in that picture. Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, this one right here, the water?
In the water. Yep.
But again, and this is the part, because someone will see this picture and be like, Carmen, again, we are at carmenjwilliams.com. You can see the amazing work that she does. But now that you've heard the story, the pictures just look different. And I know they do, because I see, yes, it is aesthetically pleasing, great shots. To your point, you're catching life moments, you're catching laughter, you're catching life. But the fact of the matter is, you're out in the world. That picture in the water doesn't happen unless you're also in the water. You know, and again, in different angles, in different places, outside, in venues, in different locations. It's just amazing to see that, because again, given the story of what you had to overcome, it's not just I'm going to take some pictures and be happy here and I'm in the studio and that's it. No, you made a point to step out of your comfort zone and look, this is, you know, a body of your work, the things that you're doing, how you chose to turn this idea of I want to do something to truly your work, your reinvention of yourself, which is amazing. This is like, you know, for those, again, carmenjwilliams.com. Here we got you on Instagram. Amazing, amazing work. You'll find her at Carmen J Photography on Instagram. You see here the shots. You see her. And again, all I keep seeing after having this conversation, it's, yes, there are great pictures, but it's the person that took them and what they had to go through to be able to actually show that to me is the key piece that really stands out to me. Oops. Oh, here we go with this one. The Instagram's trying to scratch me. But these are the things that to me really stand out as to what it looks like. Did you envision yourself being able to come and be in this point where this is kind of where you're at?
No, by no means. It's crazy how because I see life differently now. It's crazy to see where my photography has taken me and the opportunities that I've been able to take everywhere I go because of me being an instructor or a contract instructor or whatever. So because I get to travel a lot, I do sessions just about in any state. So I've done some out in Washington State. I've done some in California. I've done Colorado. I'm still here. I'm trying to think where else. Ohio, Florida, North Carolina. Like, I've been kind of all over the place, being able to capture life. Capture life, give people meaning. I sometimes feel like when I'm being a photographer, it allows me to be some type of therapist, especially with couples, because we just talk, we shoot the shit. You know, I ask them questions, and we get to know each other and stuff. And, some people, not everyone is made for, I'm not, the best wedding photographer in the world.
But you're a pretty damn good one.
Thanks. But
do we have to go back here because the lie detector here says that's a lie. You are a daggone good photographer. Like these shots are money.
So sweet.
Like let's not get crazy here. Again, you had me at the water poses, for crying out loud. Like
I know.
Hello.
Yep, I was in the water, and that's crazy. I'm known for getting in the water. If there's a water situation, I'm in there knee deep, because I can't go any deper than that because I'm only 5 feet, and my camera, I gotta,
Yep, you have to be able to.
I gotta be able to, So, but I'm always in the water. Always, like, I encourage that. I encourage, hey guys, like we got a lot of good shots.
Right.
Want to take it in the water and have some fun, and
let's get dirty and mix it up here a little bit. And they're like,
let's do it. And
what?
Those are always like, those are always the posts, the images they post for their engagement, like announcing their engagement, or those are the images that they have kind of sprinkled throughout their wedding day. It's always like the water shots and like the beautiful sunset shots. I would have never thought my photography would have taken me where I am right now. And it's a magical feeling to know that what I've gone through and how I've basically reinvented myself and still have a love for life like no other.
Yes.
And just knowing that I'm capable to do anything. I even tried snowboarding when I was in Washington. I wasn't the best person snowboarding. I still am not. But at least I tried, because that's something that if I can stand and do it, I'm gonna. By golly me, I'm gonna
try it. Yeah, and we talked about that, because even for the snowboarding piece, from a coordination standpoint, you don't have all cylinders firing to do that, which is by far one of the things you should probably not do. However,
I did it anyway.
But I think there's a power, there's a message in that, and we talked about it. I've said this before with other folks specifically, where it's when someone has a disability, especially when it comes like a mental health piece. On your side, you've had both physical, mental health, internal, all these different things. But I would not look at someone who got hit by a vehicle and call them a limp. I wouldn't call someone who has lost the ability to walk a cripple. I would just see someone who has impairments, limitations, and they're still pushing forward. And talking to you and being able to share the things that you've been through and your life, what I see is someone who pushed through. I see someone who had some setbacks, but that didn't define you. And the reason I'm calling that out is because you could have been the stroke. You could have been the disabled veteran. You could have been just the I can't do these things, but yet you adversed and went through all that and broke the stigma. And that's the reason why we're having these conversations, right? Yes, you see it, right? Disabled veteran, but that doesn't mean unable. You have an impairment, but it doesn't mean you can't. Disabled doesn't mean unable. And for someone like you, the biggest, resounding message that I've kind of, been able to get from knowing you and talking to you is that you didn't let these things define you. And sadly, there may be those out there who are like, Carmen, you don't get it. I'm just an anxious person. I'm a depressed person. I'm a person with these limitations. And that goes back to the mindset. You are seeing your current situation and you're limiting yourself. And again, I'm not discrediting that, because the issues that Carmen had, she had to work through those things and she works around them. But the snowboarding example is one point where balance doesn't let me do things a certain way. So Carmen says, I'm going to just kind of work at it this way. And that's really what it comes down to. Understanding what my limitations are, but I can work around things. I may have lost the ability to walk this way, but I'm going to find a way to work around it, use physical therapy, use therapy to find a way to regain some type of independence, some type of strength to move forward and do what I need to do. So I think that's powerful just to share, because it's not saying, hey, get up, you can do something, and say, no, You can do something if you put your mind to it, and that's a powerful piece. You've experienced depression, you experience physical setbacks, you experience all kind of things that most people would tap out. And quite frankly, you could have tapped out. You've had the thoughts of tapping out. However, that perspective and mindset, that's what to me is extraordinary about your comeback and how photography became what you reinvented yourself into, which by all means, no one would have ever bet a penny that you would have been able to do these things today with all that you went through yesterday. And that went to the point of what you said, of what you see is what you get. And you chose to not see the current situation. You chose to see, I need to get to the bathroom. I need to climb the stairs. I need to be able to walk. I need to be able to hold this camera up. I don't like the studio anymore, but the fact that for those that missed it, I was in the studio. I did get in there. I did find those things, and I pushed myself beyond that to say, okay, I'm in here. I can work the tripod. It got me to this point. Now I'm going to push forward, and I'm going to get out in the wilderness. I'm going to do something different, and you just keep living and trying. And I think that is a powerful message for someone who may have similar things, or one of the things you have. And it's not, again, that, you know, Carmen is Superwoman. It's the mindset that she put her pants on like everybody else, but she just kept seeing that thing in front of her to keep having a drive, despite what someone or situations may have said, stop or give up.
Yeah. I think too, like when you have any type of problem, you have to come up with a solution. So why not come up with a solution for your issue, for your obstacle that's in your way? You know, if a deer stops right in front of you, what are you going to do? You just stay there?
Yeah.
Stare at each other into each other's souls or something? Like,
hello.
You know, hi, what you doing? What's your name?
Yeah.
Do you have kids? You know what I'm saying? Like,
come here often?
No, you're going to drive around it. You're going to find a solution. You find a solution to your problem. We do this daily, every day. You're hungry? What do? You go get food.
Yeah.
There's no food in the house. What do? You go get groceries. Okay? You're upset today. Why? Figure it out. You know, like once you find your solution, the next thing to do is take action. That's the next thing you do. Because then you take action, and guess what you can do? Keep going and going and going and going. Once you do it one time, then you do it the second time, then you do it the third time, and then it's becoming this new life pattern that you're making for yourself. No one's going to do that for you.
And I love that point you said about grace. Giving yourself grace, even if as you're going through those motions and repetitions, they don't look like what you want them to look. Because your first foray of photography didn't look like what we just saw, but you didn't stop at those initial reps, because that's really what it is.
Yeah, I mean, a woodworker. Did they, you know, spin their first, you know, chair leg perfectly? Nope. They did not. You know, I just give yourself grace, guys. Like, that is the biggest thing you can do for yourself. When you take care of yourself, your family will start to notice. Your kids will start to notice. Your friends will start to notice. And surround yourself with people who support you, who are positive. Get rid of negative Nancy's. You know what I mean? Like, make your bubble your bubble. With people who are intentionally either making their own life better or making your life better.
Yes.
But you also can't be the Debbie Downer in that group. So, be cognizant, pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Because if you already know that you're, old Sappy Sally, then, it'll be a quick, it's a cutthroat world out there. The moment that you start putting out this woe's me and oh my God and this and that, nobody wants to be around you.
Yes.
So we have to flip that upside down.
What would you say, Carmen? What would you say to someone out there now who may be in their dark place? They just got smacked with that negative news. They just got diagnosed. They just got given that setback. They've lost that locomotive, function or psychological function or what have you. The point is, life just went ahead and gave you a combination, and you're down and you're out, feeling out, depressed, and you're like, Carmen, it's a wrap. What would you say to that person right now?
right now, here's what I would say. Let's take a step back. All right. Yes, you just got hit with this diagnosis. What are we going to do now to live with it? To live with it and be happy, to live with it to be successful, to live with it and be joyful, and to live with it to be purposeful. Because you have a family, you have friends, you have a purpose. So what are we going to do now?
You strike me, Carmen, as a person that sees the glass half full. And if the glass has nothing in it, I see you low crawling to get something to put in the glass.
Just put it. Yeah.
But it's a mindset. I really, that's just the overall thing. There's no superpower to Carmen's story, but the fact of the mindset and, you know, just having that belief in self, that belief in, you know, your belief system, but just not just looking at the current thing. I love that initial, you know, statement you made. What you see is what you get. And the fact of the matter is, what are you focusing on? Because if you're focusing on this negativity, guess what you're going to see and reap? That negativity. And it's like anything else. When you're driving, right? Like I have a teenager, right? Like eyes on the road. Because if you look this way, so goes the steering wheel. You go look that way, so goes the steering wheel. And that same concept, it's really what's happening here. It's literally, I need to keep the eyes forward, even if I don't know what forward looks like. But right now, again, I just want to get to the bathroom. You know what I'm saying?
I want to get there.
And you might fall down and you might have to low crawl. But hey, it's just that willpower and that mindset of I have to be able to do this at least to do that, and breaking it down and being simple and not just, Carmen, you got to get out of here so you can do all these great things. Like, that's great, but today I just need to get to the bathroom, and then we'll talk about the rest after. And being that intentional and tactical, I think it's a great perspective and way to look at things, which again have been repeated through all the different points that you shared along the journey of all the things that you dealt with, which again, you could have tapped out at any point, but you chose to keep on pushing. And I think that's something powerful to highlight, because it's something that someone else can at least take into their perspective. I get it. It's going to suck. It's not going to feel good. But the fact of the matter is, even this conversation hopefully gives you something to meditate and think on and have community. Because again, that's why we're having this conversation, is to be able to say, hey, each one teach one. Right? And not leaving someone behind, and sharing the story is not to say, oh, look at all the amazing things, you know what I mean, that Carmen's doing. No, it's saying, look, if she could do it, you have the ability to do it as well. And that's really what it is. You know, it's literally just locking arms with someone and saying, hey, I get it, but when you're ready, let's start moving. And I think that's really what it comes down to. As we start to close out, you know, we've always said this at the beginning of the show. You see the roll call below, commenting what your service and your branch of service and the years you serve, because we want to honor you. We want to be able to have conversation with you in the comment section. If these points may have been triggering, you see already the information above, because we know for some it's a hard conversation. People are dealing with hard things, but we want to be able to change the narrative and begin to inject positivity, sounding off with the right information, with the right intention, with the right energy, to help and motivate and give hope. Because sometimes I think that's what's needed, right? It's what many wish they could have had, and we're trying to create that. In closing, Carmen, what are some of your thoughts you'd like to leave with those that may be watching or hearing us?
You know, I think staying positive, and I know it's challenging because, you know, we, especially in the situation, in the state that we are right now with this pandemic, staying positive and knowing the people that are around you, that really love you, that are encouraging to you, even if they're mentors, even if they're from faraway lands, it doesn't matter. Just staying positive and knowing that you do have meaning and purpose is what I want to leave all of you guys with. You really do.
And I cannot add anything to that, because again, it's an amazing story of comeback, you know, present today, manifested in your photography, in your art, in what you've reinvented yourself into. It's inspiring. So I just want to thank you for having this conversation, for holding space with me, and being able to share this with those that need to hear these things. But it's been a pleasure. It's the first, but not the last. And basically, we will come back again. But this is us sounding off, trying to inject positivity your way. But we want to hear from you all as far as how you all are doing, and we want to see you on the next episode. Carmen, I appreciate your time, your story, your transparency.
Thank you for having me, DT.
Definitely. We'll be back.